Hi everyone, I figured I would make a quick video on organizing data and more specifically making frequency distributions based on your feedback from class today. So I just came up with some raw data. It's not real, but I figured I would look into the question of how many hours do college students work per week. So I basically just listed out a bunch of raw data that is all made up. And this isn't a lot of data. You can get a really good feel for what the data is like looking at it. But imagine a data set of like 100, 200, 1,000 pieces. It's really hard to get a feel for what that data looks like or trends or patterns happening in the data. Which is why we want to know how to make a frequency distribution table, which sounds really abstract, but it definitely isn't. It's pretty simple. So frequency distribution tables always have, for the most part, three different columns. The first column is specific to what you're discussing, whether it's quantitative data like numbers and number of hours here, or it's qualitative data or categorical like various colors. Like if you were looking into different colors of Skittles in a Skittles bag, right? That would be qualitative data. So this first column can also be like a category if that was the case. The second one is going to be frequency, which basically means how many fall in that category. And then the last one's going to be percent. I'm super OCD, so I'm going to bold these. Okay. Now here's the issue. So when we're looking at number of hours, 0 is our smallest number in our data set and 50 is the largest number. So I'm not going to go 0, 1, 2, and go all the way down to 50. Like that's insane. That's just way too many rows here. So what we can do is create intervals. So we can go by twos, we can go by fives, we can go by tens. It's usually best to go by one of those just to keep it super simple. I'm going to go by tens here just so we don't have a ton of intervals. Like if you went by twos, you would have like 25 intervals, which is just overwhelming. And if you think about it, there really isn't that big of a difference between working, 20 hours in a week and 23 hours in a week. And you would have intervals separating those two values when they should probably just be in the same interval. So I'm going to start with 0 to 9. Now, here's the thing. Excel likes to turn intervals into dates. So if you hit the apostrophe button next to the shift, looks like that, then you can type in intervals 0 to 9, and they will stay. Not that 0 to 9 would turn to a date, but the next one would. So now keep in mind, we don't want the intervals to overlap, so the next one needs to start at 10, so apostrophe 10. And we want them all to have the same amount of values. So a quick way to do that is looking at the first interval. We have 0 to 9. If you subtract those numbers, 9 minus 0, you get 9. We want that pattern to continue. So whatever we put on right here, we want to be able to subtract it and get 9. So 19 minus 10 gives you 9. So we'll go to 19. And then keep the pattern going. 28 to 29. And we know we need to go up to 50. It looks like it's the highest. So as soon as you have an interval that has 50 in it, we're good to go. And this is kind of the outline of the table. So I'm going to highlight this whole area. I know it looks like this bottom corner isn't highlighted, but it is. And I'm super OCD, so I'm going to go underneath the font size, pick the borders button, all borders, and just make it look a little bit more like a table. And I'm also going to center them. All right, now time to fill these in. So 0 to 9 frequency, it means how many students fell between 0 hours of work and 9 hours of work. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 students. Now we have 10 to 19. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3, 20 to 29, 1, 2, 3, 30 to 39, so anything in the 30s. So we got 1. The 40s, we got 2. The 50s, we have 1. Now, this isn't as useful here, but it's really useful with bigger data sets. Just to make sure that we accounted for everyone, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 people in this study, right? So we want to confirm that we have 14 here. So if you click and highlight all of the frequencies, again, that 4 is highlighted. You can see it coming around. Go up to the upper right-hand corner. You should have a little button that says Auto Sum. If you click that, it will put a total down here for you. And if you were to change something, it adjusts. I'm going to turn it back though, which is super cool. All right, so the next order of business is the percentage. So what the percentage means is what percent of people fell in this area, 0 to 9 hours. Well, we had 4 out of 14, right? So how do we get a percent? Well, we want a fraction first. So 4 out of 14 is our fraction, right? It looks like this. Just for you visual people out there. 4 out of 14. And that fraction bar means division. So it's the same as saying 4 divided by 14, right? So I could go to my calculator and do 4 divided by 14 times 100 to get a percent. And I get about 29%, right? I could do that, but I want to show you how to use Excel so you could be a little bit more efficient. You definitely can take the calculator away. I'm just trying to maximize what you're getting out of this. So if you click in this box right for the percent for 4, to turn Excel into a calculator, you just hit the equal button. Now, whatever equation you type in and click enter, it will calculate. But it's super cool because you can use what's called a reference cell and just click on the number. So if I want to do 4 divided by 14, I can just click 4 divided by 14. Oh, sorry. I wanted to click it. Now, here's the thing. So I'm prepping because I want to show you how autofill will help you here. Remember, autofill is where you can hover over the bottom right corner like I'm doing right now of any equation that you used reference cells where you actually clicked on the numbers. You can click and drag and it will keep using the number to the left to calculate this. Like this box is going to use E4, which is here, and E10, which is here. Now the issue right now, if I use autofill, is it's going to go to E5 for the next one, which is great. But then it's going to come down to E11, and there's nothing there. We wanted to keep using E4 or E10, which is the 14. So we need to do what's called an absolute reference cell, where this cell right here, even if we autofill, it doesn't shift. It just keeps using the 14, which is very useful for totals, just in general. So to do that, right after you click on the 14, just hit the F4. Oh, sorry. Apparently my function button was off. And you'll notice that dollar signs come in there. That's perfect. You can type those in on your own if you wanted to, but F4 is a quick way to do it. Press enter. You got that decimal that we got before. Now, you could have put right in the formula bar times 100 and set that up with parentheses, but Excel has this little percent button. If we just click that, it turns it right to a percentage. Now you can use the autofill feature where we make sure 29 is selected, hover over that bottom right corner. It's important that you're patient and you find this icon. Then you just click, hold, and drag down to the bottom, and you'll get all your percentages. Now these percentages should total up to 100% because you should have accounted for everyone here. I'm just going to use auto sum again by highlighting all of them and coming up here just to double check. So here's auto sum. 100%, perfect. So it all worked out. Now, this is super cool because now you can get a really good feel for the distribution of what most students work. So it looks like these three categories, you could probably even look at just these top two. This is about 50% of your students. Add them together, it's 49, or add them together, it's 50, right? So it's exactly 50% of your students are working less than 19 hours in a week, which means exactly 50 of your students are working above 20 hours in a week. So it's little things like these that you can look for within these distributions. Now, I'm going to delete this. Why this is also useful is you can turn this right into a graph. So what graph might be good to show this information? Well, it's quantitative and it's all continuous. So your best options are probably like a histogram, a bar graph, or its percentages totaling to 100. So you could also make a pie graph. I'm going to make a pie graph here just because I want to show you one other little cool thing that you might not know about. So first of all, you highlight the data you need to make this graph. Well, you need this, right? But I'm not going to highlight all of this because this is really redundant. The fact that 4 people fell between 0 and 9 hours, and that equated to 29%. These are basically the same thing, but a different way of communicating it here. So I'm not going to include both of those. So you can take either or. I could have just done this, selected this, and that would have been good for my graph. But sometimes you might need this row and then the percent row, but it doesn't let you copy both of these without the frequency in the middle. So what you need to do is copy the first one, hold control, then grab the last one, and then it will allow you to do that. So I just wanted to show you that just in case you run into a data set where you have to utilize that. You could have used the frequency column with the hours here if you wanted to. So go to Insert and click Recommended Charts. Oh, I'm super close to the camera. Wow. And they recognize that the pie graph is a good chart to use here because it shows proportions and we have all these percentages, right? Click OK. Let me drag this into the view here. And let's dial it up. So up top, you can choose different designs. I really like this one. Change the title. 8 hours do college students work. Add your data labels that like the little percentages so they show on each slice. To do that, you click the little plus sign when you have the graph selected. Data labels. Bam. And now you can click on these and you can change these too. Like I can make the font bigger. I could change them. So I want them to be white. I can do really whatever I want with those. So these are the two most critical pieces of organizing data. And when we're talking about like the basic introductory statistics is being able to create a table such as a frequency distribution and then a graphical representation, because not many people like to look at a list of numbers. Everyone wants a graphic or a visual to look at. So if you need anything else, just reach out to me. I hope this was helpful. Remember that you can pause me in this situation and you can rewatch me. All right. So it's probably awesome to like have this up on your phone and then be able to work on the computer in front of you at the same time. All right. Take care, guys.